Bo has been. This is Bo. Bo
Hi,
is
Bo.
Hey, Bob.
spokesperson for my new book. I love a good party. If you've seen any of the TikToks that I've been throwing out, she's taken on quite a prominent role. And the odd thing is, before I introduced her into the whole marketing story, my demographic was 53-47 male to female. And the instant I put her into my TikToks, it became 77 female, 23 male.
Of course, that's
So
excellent.
you got the crazy cat lady market all sewn up.
She's a real little lover. I'll put her,
I don't do TikTok. Anyone else do TikTok apart from John?
I'm sorry?
No, not really.
I wonder if anyone else does
We
TikTok.
should for the store, but we can't figure out how to.
What the hell is going on? Is someone doing some
Well,
drilling?
You're gonna hear that fart noise every 3 minutes the whole damn time I'm on.
Why is that?
Race cars right down the street.
Oh, right. You're in Indianapolis, right
So
around.
why is it just for like a 3-second burst? What are they doing? Just testing out the engines?
That's a takeoff to a short track.
Is that drag racing?
It's drag racing.
Oh, it's
you have to explain it to the Englanders, mate, because we don't have all that sort of daft
nitro funny cars. Wait,
penis
what?
extension sports here in Britain. Not really. That fast cars and guns thing's an American thing. We don't go into that. You know what I mean? We're happy with the sizes of our penises already. We don't have to have big, massive car races and
those are funny cars taking off at 300 miles an hour. So
yeah, exactly.
Oh, you mean down the? You're talking about the race cars with the chutes in the back. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. What a foolish thing to do. I can adrenaline.
Shirley Muldowney when you need her.
This is drag racing before it means changing onto the typical clothing of the other gender. Not that kind of drag racing.
Hey, Graham, you know who I voted for this year?
The
standing in the back looking stupid party.
Oh, standing in the back looking stupid party. Oh, yeah.
You know, the cool thing about the drag racing cars, not only did they spawn comic books, of course, right? But just the physics of it all is outrageous.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I still can't understand how those things just don't completely fly apart. They're so well designed, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, very cool.
Absolutely.
I would, I mean, it's not the first thing that comes to mind, but I would definitely put it on a bucket list, right?
Right.
You give it a go. I wouldn't. Not for me, thanks.
Really, they have those two-seaters, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen that close, Bill?
You'd ride shotgun.
Have I what?
Have you seen one up close?
Yes. Yeah.
Where about?
I can't.
Yeah. I haven't seen. Did you post something right now? Or what you've been
about
posting?
drag car racing. Have you seen drag cars? He's asking you.
No, I've never seen them in person.
Okay.
All right. Obviously, call you, right?
We don't. Well, we have drag races here, but nothing. I mean, I'm in San Antonio, so it's way different than Indianapolis. Indianapolis has them like all the time, right, Kyle?
Well, the U.S. Nationals drag racing is held here.
Yeah.
And that's what they're prepping for right now.
So is it only drag racing at your place where you are, Kyle? They don't have that. What's that other type of racing?
NASCAR.
NASCAR. Do they have that as well?
Yeah.
Yep. Got them all.
I would say that if I had a multi-millionaire list, I would definitely buy myself one of each of those for sure.
Yeah, we
and you know what, like that scene in LA Story with Steve Martin where he gets in his car and he drives just to the neighbor's house, right? Like one door down and he parks, right? I would totally do that with my drag car.
Oh, I would too. That would be great.
I mean, like the world's greatest pro stock driver that ever lived came from the little small town I came from. He was like a 9-time world champion. I went to high school with his kids. They were on his pit crew. I've had access to all these things. You know, they ran F1, they run world-class motocross here. I mean, it is the racing capital of the world. So.
It is.
I would, however, with my NASCAR that I would buy, I would probably, do, a couple dozen left turns with it before I got bored. And I would gladly give it to a guy who can really beat the shit out of it and freak me out and maybe hit a wall and bust it up and shit. I mean, if you have the money, right? Like, go ahead and go fucking wacko with that.
Most of those guys,
why not?
Most of the drivers I've ever known, were jockey sized, quite literally.
Yeah, are they all little guys? Is that what it is?
Barely 100 pounds plus, soaking wet. They look like horse jockeys.
Yeah.
They're just tiny sinew and muscle. But the mind-boggling part with them is their fucking reaction time. It's scary.
Oh, yeah.
Their reaction times are, there's no logical way to put it.
Training, doing them sort of motions over and over again, you're gonna get quicker, aren't you? You've got to, train your reflexes, haven't you? By doing all that racing all the time, you've got to have great reactions.
And then to stay in it. But most of them are high strung, and most of them are kind of crazy, and most of them have piles of speeding tickets. I mean, it's kind of the same old story.
But just remember,
when you paused after saying piles, I thought you meant my brain was going. It must be sitting in chairs all the time. When you paused up, you said.
Getting back to our point though about good design, just remember, that the whole outside of the car is just built around a safety frame on the inside, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it only pays to want to be a daredevil. I swear to you, if there aren't a bunch of billionaires out there today, like the four of us sitting here saying, if there ain't a group of four guys out there right now out on a track saying, hey, Desmond, let's blow the fuck out of these things and smash into each other, then those guys are losers. They're losers. I bet you Zuckerberg would love to do something like that.
Well, that's called Demolition Derby.
Yeah, we have Demolition Derby for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge here too. But
it's not called Demolition Derby, my friends. And I'll tell you why. Because Demolition Derby implies that you're going to be using a crappy car.
Hey, I'm live right now. I can't talk. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
Bring him in. Bring him in, Billy. Bring him in. Open the door and let him in. Oh, yeah, Billy.
But yeah, my access to this stuff has been ridiculous.
No. They've been squatting 3 doors down for the last 3 months, and the cops finally got them to leave today and gave them their marching orders. And they keep coming in here to try to get money out of us. And I've already given them money, and it's like I feel bad for them, but they're going to get arrested if they keep hanging out, and I don't want them in the store. So it's not. Yeah, it was that's an extreme situation. That's the only person that I've had that problem with.
So do you got one with the big beard and you call him Harry Squatter?
Oh no.
No, I do not.
Hey, great segue. Talking about books.
Yay! Everybody loves a good party. Johnnie Reisler's book, folks.
And ain't no party like 9/11.
Tell us all about it, man.
There it is. Well, I'm going to tell you all about it. First of all, it's been out a week on Amazon, and the people love it. I'll tell you the story. It's a story about a man named Dave Stevens who comes from suburban Pittsburgh and works his way into a job at 2 World Trade Center for a high investment firm in the summer of 2001.
All right. Are you going to be able to handle questions being volleyed at you while you're explaining this?
Oh, sure, for sure.
The obvious comic book question. Dave Stevens.
I thought that Dave Stevens was a name that I heard.
That's exactly what I thought.
Is it an homage, or was it kind of an homage to a Dave and an homage to somebody you knew named Stevens, or was it just rolled off the tongue?
You know what? It's a great question. I adore his Rocketeer work. I really do, but there's no. It's quite a coincidence that his name came up.
Cool.
The original name came from a generic email group in the early '90s on Gmail, or as soon as Gmail came out, we wanted to all have a mailbox that we all had the password to and we could share, and it would be kind of like the Rolling Stones had something like Nanker Felge when they co-wrote a song together, which I think they did once. So we needed a generic name, and the name for the email box was Dave Stevens.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Speaking of nom de guerres, Stick.
Yes, sir.
Why'd you choose that?
Also, it's a long legacy in my life where back in the mid 80s, I had a radio show in college with a friend. It was called the Sticky and Big Spliff Show. He was a well-noted Rastafari on campus at McGill, and I was a kind of skinny rock star sort of guy. And so Stick kind of stuck. And in the 90s, I had a band called Sticky, AKA, which was just an expansion of that. And for my first two books, I wrote under the pen name Stick. But now for I Love a Good Party, I'm writing under my real name, Jonathan Reisler. And kind of put Stick on the side when I want to write more pulp fiction-y sort of
That's good.
tales. But for now,
If I hadn't already moved it upstairs, I would have showed the Sticky AKA CD I've got here. So.
yeah, it's amazing. I can't believe it's been close to 30 years since that thing was recorded. I mean, back then, creating a CD was a big deal. You had to. Yeah,
Huge
a lot of money. It was very expensive. It was outrageous.
So we're establishing that you're multi-talented, well-versed, handsome, no less.
Yep.
The king of the putty.
Yep, he'll agree with you.
So I'm really getting behind this book right now. I've spoken to a friend of mine who's a fairly well-known playwright in New York City. We might collaborate on doing something like that, something to get off Broadway. And another friend of mine's a filmmaker, and it's hard to get people to get around a project, especially right now in such uncertain times. But I think that all things equal, we're going to try and get a screenplay written and see where we can go with it. But most of all, I want the people to read this book, because forget about me hawking it. Once you read the story, you're just going to fall in love with it. Dave Stevens survives 9/11, but winds up on the New York City underground party circuit with extremely unpredictable and perilous results. And, people who have read the story, they cheer for him. They love the set of characters that I've set around him, notably his landlord, Gigi, a woman in her mid-40s who immigrated from Thailand. I paint a rich picture of New York City, and it's kind of a love letter for me to New York City. And you know what? If you love graphic novels and you love comic books, you will love I Love a Good Party. Sure.
And you get kudos from me ma.
Yeah. Oh, have you read the book?
Not this one. She's waiting for her signed copy.
Right. Yeah. Well, those are in the mail. They're coming. We just got our production run for our author copies here in town, and we sold the number of them at a book signing that we did here locally, which was great, beautiful, very, very well attended. And if you want to look online, there's a website called The Suburban where they've done a review on my book, which was exceptional, and they were very kind, and they really enjoyed it. And listen, there's a character in the book by the name of Agent Kyle Andrews, who works for Homeland Security.
The first time in 30 years I've ever released my likeness rights.
Yeah, well, I'll have to speak to the other 19 Kyle Andrewses on Facebook too about that.
Yeah.
But there's only one Kyle Andrews that makes a fucking difference, right? At least in my life. and Gray's and Bill's. I know that Bill's going to be talking up the book at Comic-Con, which is going to be very exciting, because it's really, I'm looking for an artist, a graphic novel artist who would love to get behind a project with me on this, do maybe a Kickstarter and get it out. Because, I mean, like I said, the book is only out a week now, but, it paints a picture of New York City in the aftermath of 9/11. And the reason why I wrote it is because, if you're 30 or under, 9/11, is like World War II to you. It's black and white movies. You don't get it. And this book is going to paint a very vivid picture of how people felt in the aftermath, and in a very, fun and entertaining way, with a lot of respect to 9/11 and the first responders, which was primarily a very important thing for me. So, yeah, that's my spiel.
On 9/11, did you either A, know anyone that we lost, or anyone, what was the closest you were affected? Did you have friends or family that were neighbors to that?
I have a friend of mine who lived literally 6 blocks away from the World Trade Center. And he was locked up in his 1-bedroom apartment with his newborn baby and unknown at that moment pregnant wife. And they closed their balcony door, but the smoke just, for hours upon hours, they couldn't see out their window. They were worried about breathing. It was just, harrowing for them.
Yeah, hell on earth.
Really. And everybody knows somebody who lost somebody or knew somebody who either got out or escaped. Now, the irony of my character in Dave Stevens is that he's in 2 World Trade Center, and at the point where the story begins, he's running into the boardroom to talk to his boss frantically to see what they can do. How did they get out of the building? And within seconds, the second plane hits directly on the floors where his offices are. And he awakens to half death, and everyone he knew and loved in New York City is dead. And then the second tower, collapses. Somebody pulls him out of the rubble miraculously, but he dies in the back of an ambulance. But when they get him to the body of the hospital, they resuscitate him. And I checked. I did a lot of research before I did my writing, and there were 19 people who actually survived the collapse of the second tower, which is rather extraordinary. So his odds of defying death are wild. And then as the story goes along, they grow even more intense, which is kind of fun. Yeah. So that's it, guys. Comic-wise, Comic-Con just ended here in Montreal. I have friends who attended. They sent me. It's really become more of a cosplay merchandise event in our city, where there's fewer and fewer comic book vendors, which is kind of upsetting. But a friend of mine has taken on to buying as many collections as he can within a 100-mile radius of our city. And every couple of weeks, he opens up his warehouse, and he's come up with unbelievable Bronze Age and Silver Age stuff. And book. Oh, Drag Racer.
Yeah.
Either Drag Racer or Kyle's been eating a lot of Chipotle.
Or both.
So, so on the comic front, I bought a few things. You want to see them?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll leave you with her.
While he's fishing that out, I'll tell a 9/11 story that kind of got our attention. A lot of Marines, when we got out, a lot of them became cops, firemen, stuff like that, scattered all around the country. And one of the guys I served with, Larry Brooks, in the initial reports, they thought he was one of the firemen that died in the first collapse because part of his unit went missing, and he was one of them not accounted for like 16 hours.
Wow.
But he wasn't he wasn't dead, but that's as close as I got to it. I had a Marine buddy that was elbow deep in it. Jesus, that's just getting louder.
That is loud, isn't it? Blimey.
That's a 2-car race, and that's a mile away.
That's awesome, though. It's still awesome.
It's a mile away, and there's a huge dampening wall behind it. There's a field, a mile difference in the field, and it still just echoes through the neighborhood.
All right. Here, aside from the war books, I just found something lying around that I think is quite beautiful that you'll enjoy. It's from the 9th of January, 1943. It's a Toronto, Canada comic book section. And on the cover, we have a beautiful Tarzan Hogarth page.
Nice.
Can you see that well? Or?
Star Weekly. See some of it, yeah.
I can hear him in the back of my head right now. Hey, fellas, where's the party?
And eventually, all of those wound up in a comic book somewhere. That wound up in like Tip Top Comics or something like that as a collected edition.
And also in Dell reprints.
Yeah.
All right, so here's a few war books I picked up.
War is hell.
I just sold the one with the first appearance of Death in it yesterday.
Oh, man, you called me. This one's quite good.
Those are great.
War is ever present.
Is that Marvel or DC? Oh, Marvel, yeah.
Marvel.
I went digging, no bueno today. How you doing, Biggie?
Oh, no luck today,
That's a good one.
Damn.
That
Oh, man.
What a great series.
is a great series.
Michael Golden at his best. Oh, look.
There you go. That's one for you, Carl.
You recognize this guy? Here he is, Kal-El.
I always love how they cut it down to Semper Fi, so it's always Faye.
Anyhow, I want to thank you guys very much for giving me a platform today to talk about my book. I'm really excited. Really hope that you'll buy a copy or you'll recommend it. Really blow it up and
There you go.
and for everybody, you know.
Yeah. I meant to ask you, since we were competing with Euro 2024, I meant to ask you like a week ago, bring the big guns out and make all the guys jealous for not being on the show because they're dealing with Euro 2024. That Euro trash that we love so much, them damn hooligan soccer fans.
Yeah, listen, we Canada just had a really insane result.
They damn near took out some of the biggest ones in the field.
Yeah, the only reason why they lost yesterday, well, I mean, because they were playing against Lionel, could have beat them by himself, but early on in the first half, they made one mistake. They let one guy crawl behind him, and the second you get behind Argentina, your mental state of affairs changes. You know, it's like all hope is lost. Now you're trying to crawl back. You know, down to Argentina, you have to crawl back, and to get two is when you're having a hard time getting one. It's very difficult. Right? Yeah.
Well, but yeah, I mean, considering they basically took out the number one seed the game before, it's like, geez.
Hey, Greg, you know, speaking of England and football, Argentina, isn't there some conflict going on in the Falklands again?
I don't know what's going on. I did hear recently that they refused to sign some peace thing or something over it. I think they've got a bit more of they've got a similar government to what happened last time. I think they've got a bit of, I don't know. Hopefully that's going to happen, but I've not really been following anything, but I did hear.
Well, it's kind of, I hear it's an oil grab. And
yeah.
the only reason why nobody's talking about it is because it's like months for any news to get it. Yep. Oh, somebody up.
That's Bill's shop door, I think.
Bill's shop.
You're breaking up a bit. The sound's breaking up.
Big Bigs. So you want to show more comics, brother?
What would you?
Anything you got. Old Marvel preferable, but anything you got handy.
Old Marvels it is.
Is he breaking up for you as well, Carl?
A little bit.
Yeah, it's like up, so I don't really hear the full sentence. It's like it's a bit hard. Oh. Yeah.
Here we go. I'm gonna fire him fast. Yay or nay?
We're
Say
losing
again?
every other word.
All right. Wi-Fi this way. But here we go. Ready? Here
Yeah, not getting anything now.
and go.
Submariner.
Beauty, eh?
I didn't hear any of the build up to it, but it's,
Yeah.
Invaders. Buy war bonds.
Yeah, it's a store Bo works at down in San Antonio.
King size special. 25 cents. Defenders. I just finished my Defenders run. Haven't got anywhere near close to reading it yet, though.
Yandroth.
Oh, Defenders.
I hesitate to complete that run
Why?
because then it's something done. I don't want to be done. I want to be on a constant search.
More Defenders. Cool.
There's just so few. They're just filler books. All I got left are filler books. I got one important book and then a lot of filler.
Titan.
Xemnu. What's significant about Xemnu the Titan?
He used to be the Hulk.
He used to be the Hulk. He is the prototype Hulk.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's pretty. What? This
Nice.
strap.
Early. Shield.
Ready? Round two.
The Shield ones from the early that look a bit like old, like James Bond posters, or like sort of spy, like TV shows of that era. Kind of quite cool. Conan, Devil Wings over Shaggy's
What is that,
arm.
number 4?
It's quite low.
6.
Yeah, I've got a lot of no numbers of Conan to collect, but I don't think I'll ever manage it. Need that lottery win. Coal. I've got the coal run. That's easier to collect. It's a lot easier to collect coal than it is Conan.
Ghost Rider 8.
Yeah. That's another one I completed recently. Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider.
More Ghost Rider.
Was that a Canadian price variant? God, I want that book. I've got that on.
Champions.
I've got that on my Darren stack, I think.
Moon
That's
Knight.
like the 4th appearance of Moon Knight, first solo story. That's worth the small.
Something like that, yeah. One of his early solo stories.
The stories, the Moon Knight I want are in the back of the Hulk magazines. That whole Sienkiewicz run.
Okay. The end of that Dark Hawk run's hard to get.
Second appearance of Deadpool.
My favorite Deadpool book.
They don't go for much. You think that second appearance of Deadpool will go for a lot more, but never seem to go for more than like a tenner or something, or a fiver.
And yet, and that Circle Chase series should be a lot more pricey, but Really?
movies are more popular than anybody else.
Yeah. Well, and everything that keeps leaking out about that movie, just it's gonna be so stupid good.
Assuming you haven't seen it all already in the amount of trailers that keep leaking.
Yeah. Well, it's everything that's been confirmed about it is everything you've seen in the trailers in the first third of the movie. They have not let one thing from Act 2 or 3 out. I kind of half-heartedly am chasing X-Men 1. I'd rather have an X-Men 15 than an X-Men 1 for sentimental reasons.
Is that from your early list of first 97 or whatever it's called?
Yeah. Sooner or later, I'll get a ton of them, but I got issue 2 sitting in my Darren stack too, but I got to make a choice.
X-Men 2?
Yeah.
All right, fellas, I've been 3 slots. But you know me, I'm more of a
Well, at least you got to talk about your book before your sound petered out.
That's
That's pretty.
Simone Bianchi.
Not a clue what you're saying.
It happens a lot with John, doesn't it? He's come before when his sound chops up. If his phone's got a dodgy microphone or something.
You're chopping out. Can you hear me?
A little bit better. It's the Wi-Fi because I'm in a corner of a building.
Oh, that's a nice one.
It's interesting.
Is that a metal cover?
Nope.
Oh. Oh, you've got it in plastic and it's slab. I see.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, your video is very sharp. You can see everything fine. All your comic covers and habits, your audio is up the spout. As a top
First true cover appearance, awesome. I'd want to get something like that for the grandkids, but I just don't know how much he'd appreciate it. What is with all this activity on the street here?
Homage.
Oh, yeah.
That's a nice one.
If I had trade bait for it, I'd come after that 316.
Come and get it.
I'm running out of trade bait and I'm stocking up for the kids, but
you got
had them over recently and
Bill?
What?
You got any new books lately?
No, I should be getting some this week though. More. Another load, but still trying to sell the ones I've gotten.
No.
Kind of crazy. I sold another small bunch yesterday, which made me happy. But I've finally got 10 like storage bins to start like keeping them in until I get a chance to bag them all. Yeah. So.
Who's your next artist you've got appearing in the shop?
What's that? Who's
the next artist you have appearing in the shop?
We may have Bob Burden, but he has not confirmed. He's going with us and going to be on our panel at Comic-Con, but we don't know if he wants to come back through San Antonio yet. He hasn't said.
Will you be on an airplane next week, or
2 weeks?
Will you actually be on the show?
I will probably be on the show next week.
How was the theremin player?
What's that?
How was the theremin player?
Oh, she was great. She was really
you
good.
get-
She got
did you
mad
get
because I kept requesting her to do Star Trek, but she did
Yeah.
it 3 times over the week. Well, I mean that's what a lot of at least Americans think of when they think of the theremin is they think
Of
the Star
course.
Trek theme song.
Yeah. Did
Lots of
you get her to
sci-fi.
record a song?
I posted her playing Star Trek in the store.
You're supposed to get her to do a Geeky Weekly soundtrack.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that. Damn it! Oh darn!
Never
What's
mind.
the significance of
We
Crossfire
are
12?
the Geeky Weekly.
Hey,
What is the significance of Crossfire 12?
Can we come to a consensus on what the show's theme song should be?
Probably not.
No.
Can I?
Whoever comes up with one first.
I think I have a brilliant thing that crosses the Atlantic and really defines our comic book collecting habit.
It's called a kazoo. No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
From the English beat, save it for later.
Save it
Save it
for
for
later.
I know that one, I don't think.
You know, the black dude in that band just died recently, and he was quite young. Or not young, but older than us, but young.
If you can recall, the first 25 seconds of the song is a beautiful intro for our show.
That's a
The
great
English
song.
beat you say they were called.
See if I can call it up.
What you say it's called the English beat?
The English beat, save it for later.
I've never heard of that.
You've never heard of
They were-
the beat? And you
They
come
were an English band, were they?
what?
Were they an English band?
I would hope so.
Oh, the Marilyn Monroe cover. Okay, gotcha.
Don't you recall? Save it for
I
later.
knew something about that scene.
Run away and let me.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Oh, Mirror in the Bathroom. They did Mirror in the Bathroom, did they? Mirror in the Bathroom, I remember.
Dude, I think they was #1 in the UK in like 84 or 83.
Yeah, not a band that really went on my radar much, I don't think. Interesting.
Can't play more than 8 seconds of it, though. Even though that sounded like something so strong.
Hear it?
Out of the house.
Yeah, I heard it. Oh, Crossfire 12 is that Marilyn Monroe one, isn't there? Like a pervy looking guy, like sort of leaning over her in the bed. I think that's the one he's talking about.
Well, all these guys were all dressed like teddy boys and stuff like that, and they wore black for one black guy in the band who was holding everybody in pairs of glasses. You know, fabulous band, incredible. What a beautiful world sound. I really loved called "Spar with Me." Spar with me, spar with me. Very cool. Very, you know,
Yeah,
yeah.
not a band on my radar. I saw that song called "Mirror in the Bathroom," which I remember. I remember that as like a vaguely, as like a, I don't know, bit of a novelty song kind of thing. I don't remember them can't remember them having any huge hit.
Didn't some of the people from Modern English become Fine Young Cannibals?
Oh, maybe I remember Fine Young Cannibal's name.
Oh, really?
I don't remember the name
Their
of
version of "Caught in a Trap" by Elvis. It's one of
Yeah.
Great.
I remember them.
What was you listening to in 81?
81?
Yeah.
Oh, God knows. Maybe, I don't know, Communards, maybe Eurasia,
Nice.
something like that. I don't know.
Were you listening to
Frankie Goes to Hollywood,
did you listen to the Jam?
a little bit.
Yeah.
A town called Malice, I remember.
Huh?
My brother was a mod. My brother was a mod probably about that time. But when I actually got into like music properly, I've just been a headbanger for so long now. Just like headbanger music was what grabbed me. So I've been a headbanger for I don't know since the late 80s. But before that, I had all sorts.
Stuff like that?
Bill, it's English beat with Fine Young Cannibals, not Modern English. Modern English was us.
Oh yeah, I get those too. Yeah, I meant English beat. I'm sorry.
I don't think
But
they
yeah, that's basically Fine Young Cannibals is the extension of it.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah. When English Beat folded, Fine Young Cannibals grabbed the 2 main guys. And
Right.
Oh, all right, that's pretty cool fact. All right,
Half right. I got the English part right.
Bill's off to Comic-Con.
Yeah, 2 weeks from today.
What's the 3 panels you're doing again?
I'm doing one on the new wave of comics in the 80s when independence went kind of mainstream after the Turtles, and then I'm doing one on the lost EC footage, and then I'm doing one on current day horror comics.
Okay.
And that's the one. So it's funny. I was on a Zoom call last week with all the people, and then they added this woman, Sandy, who I had no idea who she was, and she came in and started talking. I keep seeing this long-haired, white-haired dude walking around.
I saw your post on Facebook.
Yeah, did you see it? Yeah. And I'm like, dude, that guy looks just like John Carpenter. And yeah, Sandy King Carpenter. And it was her husband, John Carpenter, walking around in the background. So if I'll get to meet John, I would love to. He's one of my favorite directors. But that was quite a comeuppance when afterwards my friend called me and goes, "Did you see John Carpenter walking around the background of Sandy?" I go, "What?" I go, "Oh, is Sandy John's wife?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's Sandy King Carpenter." Nobody told me their last names, so I had no idea. It was kind of funny. So all 3 of those should be good. Normally, I've only had 1 a year, so 3 is quite an addition. I'm looking forward to it though.
3 is the magic number.
What's the format then? You you talk about it? You have like a prepared talk, or you show some.
I'm moderator on 2 of the panels, and basically what a moderator does is you have your guests or your speakers, and you'll have between 3 and 4 people speaking besides the moderator. You'll have the moderator will give a short introduction to the topic, and then go start in person to person, and then people on the panel can talk to the other people talking about their part of the panel, and then we'll open it up for questions maybe 10 minutes before the end of the panel.
Do they give you 45 minutes, an hour and a half?
They give you 50 minutes, I think, is 50. What you get.
Do you get? Is there any money in it? Do you get paid for it, or you anything
well,
like that?
I get a free hotel room, so that's a nice perk. But and hotels there can be as much as $400 a day. So
yeah,
you know,
and then free access. You got an all access pass too.
Yeah, I get free passes. So
It's in 2 weeks. I was asking if you were going to be on next week. Are you going to be on in 2 weeks, or are you going to be on an airplane?
I will. Well, this time I will be on the ground, but the con will not have started yet. But I will probably be trying to get into the hotel room because it'll be 12 o'clock. California.
1 o'clock. It'll be 1 o'clock in.
No, it'll be 12 o'clock.
1.
No, we start at 2. I'm 2 hours. I'm 2 hours away from San Diego. 2 hour difference.
That'll be 5 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be noon.
Noon.
Yeah. So if I can get on that day and walk around with the camera and show y'all stuff, I will. But the con itself won't start till I believe 5 or 6 that night. And I think it only goes. That's preview night, and that it typically goes 6 to 9. And that's the night that you want to get all your stuff that they might run out of.
Yeah.
But I have people giving me shopping lists this year. They do it every year, but it gets a little hard, especially when I have so much going on.
Never had any interest whatsoever in ever going to San Diego Comic-Con.
Well, I will tell you what. I've been going this will be my 16th. Yeah, this will be my 16th year going. I enjoy it every year. I also start pacing myself. I also have started doing less at the con because I just want a break. I'll go back to the hotel room and sleep for a few
Bill,
hours.
let me ask you a question. You get a chance to see the comic book vendors while you're there?
Yeah.
Okay. While you're there, there's a fairly large vendor named MG Comics
Okay.
who hails out of Montreal. He's a stalwart at San Diego every year. He probably has 200 long boxes of stuff, maybe more, that he brings from Montreal to San Diego.
Oh wow.
Okay, his name is George.
Okay.
His wife May is with him, and they'll probably have their little baby boy.
Okay.
I would love for you to stop in and visit him and
I'll say hi.
and say hi and be a friend. It would be
Okay.
cool because you'll actually make contact with somebody who a hug to. So
Yes,
you
I
know,
love that. That'll be very good. I will do that.
you can hug off of him. He's a short little bald Lebanese guy. He's he's
Cool.
so
I can
sweet.
never have too many hugs. I'll be right back, fellas.
He's a real sweet guy. Yeah.
Well, have you got any plans for book fairs or more signings and stuff, John,
Well,
to promote your book?
Right now, I've done a video interview and I've had a nice written review from me. So I'm trying to keep the news outlets worldwide. Because there's one particular character from Talky very, very strong.
We lost the audio, buddy.
Breaking up, mate. Breaking up. Sorry.
Hello.
Hello.
That's all right. So better?
Yeah.
All right. So I've gotten contact with some newspapers in Bangkok to see if they'll pick up the story, maybe to promote a strong Thai character, which would be pretty cool. Yeah, like I said, I'm doing 4 TikToks a day. Some of them I'm sponsoring monetarily by boosting them to get as many views as I can, because the views on TikTok will create the "I love a good party" mindset. The phrase. I love a good party. So if I can continue getting the phrase "I love a good party" out, it becomes part of the vernacular, and if it becomes part of vernacular, it becomes part of curiosity, and people will read the story. And the story is crazy. Ray, I beg you, get it. You'll absolutely love it. It comes with a comic straight back. Okay.
It comes with a comic print. What?
I said if he buys it, it comes with a comic straight back guarantee. If he buys
Nice.
Comic trade back guarantee.
yeah. Available on Amazon.co.uk.
The links are down below, everybody. The links are down below. Link to the TikTok, link to the Amazon down below.
Look, it's the World Trade Center.
Oh, yeah, it is. Of course.
It's still there. There's a guy. Look. Hold on.
I meant to fish out the pictures of me standing with the World Trade Center in the backdrop, but
He's taking a selfie.
Yeah.
If you look up, it's the World Trade Center.
Right.
I love a good party, and you will too. All right, fellas.
Where'd the idea come from then? He just.
Oh, interesting question. About 8 years ago, I wrote a story tantamount to a modern Oliver Twist about a pickpocket ring in New York City. I'd gotten 42 pages to write the book, and I found the story dreadfully boring. So I set it aside. And about 2 years ago, over the winter, I was encouraged to relook at it because somebody quite enjoyed the story. And when I did, all of a sudden, speaking to Kyle and speaking to my friend Gigi in Thailand and speaking to my friend Gordon in St. Kitts and speaking to this one and that one and being amazed by Dennis Rodman, who figures kind of prominently in the development of one of the characters. It just all came together to become this wild story about this everyman. Dave Stevens is an everyman. He's the guy who works his ass off to get that job on Wall Street. And then his whole life just goes to the shitter because of the attack. Getting back to the purpose of teaching my 22-year-old son what 9/11 means. 9/11 was the clash of civilization. It was the hijra, the arrival of Islam in the Western world that will never ever go away. That moment, it, it was really it's as if Pearl Harbor set off a global war, to really bring in the entire globe. 9/11 has set off an alarm bell that, right? And I'm not talking about Islam, okay? I'm talking about a very perverted version of Islam where people want to kill people. They don't want to live amongst their neighbors peacefully, bless them because they're people of the book. These are not my Muslim friends. This is not my Armenian Muslim girlfriend. No, these are not the people I'm talking about. I'm talking about a very, very pervasive mindset that infiltrates, Western society's college campuses to an extent where you wouldn't recognize somebody you knew a year ago. So 9/11 is a hot button issue that has to be talked about and put out in the open, and why it was so important. It shouldn't be forgotten and written off. I mean, when you see a kid on an American university campus praising Osama bin Laden's letter to America and saying that it was justified, then we've got a serious problem on our hands, and it's education. So, yeah,
we train that fucker.
Yeah, well, whatever.
We absolutely train that fucker.
You know what, Kyle? You've always been privy to some absolute knowledge about your nation, more so than any of us. And I've always leaned on you, especially when I was writing the book, to get your opinions on things and see how you felt about it. And you know what? It's true. I don't know how to correct this problem. I don't know how. I mean, England and France have just rejected the far right, and the United States seems to be willing to reject the far right too, even if it means putting a whole soul in office. So
Yeah.
the world is kind of really weird. It feels like.
Well, I've been saying it for years. Biden's in place so he can step out of the way. It'll take decades to elect a woman into office, and if Biden gets elected and he steps away from the 25th or health reasons or whatever, we'll have a female president. You can check it off the list.
Well, it's going to be Hillary. It's not going to be. Listen,
be progressive.
Kamala's my age. Kamala actually lived in my city of Montreal for her entire high school life. Her mother was I believe, a biochemist researcher at the McGill University.
Yeah.
Moved to Montreal.
McGill, the birth of ice hockey, for fuck's sake.
Right, and she actually studied here and graduated the same year I did. And I can tell you, quite frankly, 1 or 2 years that followed, which that I in the room is because we probably had common friends. Kamala Harris, not capable of running the Western world. I'm sorry. If that's the case, if that's who America puts into office, then damn you. Anybody but somebody who's not qualified. Give me a qualified person, somebody who has foreign policy, somebody who has business acumen, somebody who has more than just a political life. The Democrats, they have that. Find these people. Where are they, for God's sake? I mean,
well, I'd love to see my friend Andre Carson in that role, but since he's Muslim, they'll never let him do it.
Yeah, but what? It took Dennis Rodman to save the world 6 years. Okay?
Yeah.
From mutually guaranteed destruction. It took Dennis Rodman. How crazy is our world, guys?
Yeah.
Bin Laden's brother was killed mysteriously here in San Antonio. He was in an experimental aircraft, and people have said the fuel line was cut. And he was the sibling who controlled all the money from the Bin Laden's father, and it was literally billions of dollars. And that's what enabled Bin Laden to get a hold of all that money. So
I understand.
And then we gave him money too, so like idiots. So
I understand when Bin Laden found out that his brother died, he said, "Practice, practice, practice."
No, he said it's about damn time. Show me the money. No.
Or no. It was for a training video. See, if my brother can do it, so can you.
That's right.
Right. All right, guys. Thank you so much again. I love you. I'm out of here.
See you, man.
All
Have a great one. I love
See
it. We
you
love a
later.
good party.
Good luck
Have a
with it.
good
Johnnie.
party.
Bye, buddy.
Love a
See
good
you, man.
party.
Have a great one. Bye, bud.
I'm too
Johnnie
old for
this
parties.
week, JMD Mateus again next week.
Okay.
I love being able to say friend of the show. Is the one your favorite writer. Now, if we could just get Peter David on here, I'd be tickled pink. But I wouldn't shut up. If we got Peter David on here, I'd pull out his 2 books and tell him every story about his 2 books and how they affected me and how I walked into a barracks in Japan and there's a coverless copy of Howling Mad sitting on the floor and I picked it up. And I went to the bathroom. 2 hours later, I was done with it. Read the whole damn book in one sitting.
Wow.
Just, it was insane. Because
What
I
is
had
it?
downtime. We were waiting for our equipment to be shipped
What
in.
type-
and
what kind of
stuff,
book is it?
basically. Huh?
What kind of story is it? What kind of book is it?
It was a little paperback, a couple hundred
Thriller?
pages.
Sci-fi? Fantasy?
Yeah, it's sci-fi. I mean, that's the one. Howling Mad's the one about fucking cars. Howling Mad's the one about what happens if a wolf gets bitten by a werewolf.
Okay.
Then he becomes a man every full moon.
Right.
And like we came into barracks and our equipment was being flown in different and shuttled in different and all the stuff. So basically I had a satchel and the clothes on my back and we had hours to kill. Just nothing going on. We had like 12 hours before things got normal. You know, new to the island, didn't know what to do. Walked into a sanitized barracks and there's a pile of trash on the floor and there's this coverless book. And I pick it up and I realize, hey, this is Peter David. This is the guy that writes The Incredible Hulk. I want to read this. And I damn sure read it in one sitting. I was like, fuck me, what a book. I mean, it gets a little cheese. There's a lot of cheese in it, but when you got to fill a couple hundred pages, you're going to fill it with cheese.
So if you're a secret agent, man, this week, are you going to be the...
You got to repeat that in a second. John Force just launched off.
No, but you know what's funny about that is
What?
I said, if you're secret agent, man, this week, are you going to be the prisoner next week? And then remember at the beginning of the prisoner, there's this one scene where you hear as his car goes down. So it's perfect timing. That's hilarious. Patrick McGowan is smiling from heaven or wherever he may be. So
Well, yeah, I mean, I know it seems trivial to you guys, but I've been
Ray,
asked.
have you ever seen that? A Prisoner?
See some of them, yeah.
Patrick McGowan. That's
Yeah,
one of the best. That's one of the best. And so, at the same time, it was being shown in England. It was being shown during the summer season here in the States on CBS, and it had a bigger impact in the States, I think, than it did in England. And everybody was mad at the end of the 17th week because they thought it would keep on going, and it was just basically a very large, limited series.
Yeah. Yeah, it went longer than he wanted it to as well, I heard. Like, he only wanted to do
Probably,
like 10
yeah.
or something, and like, they wanted to do a few more. So it's really weird. I think I went for a little rabbit hole. I was watching a couple of interviews with him just a little while back. He was talking about it, and it sounded like it was like, you know, made out on the spot, half of it. Like some of it was like literally didn't know what it was doing. And he was like knocking out scripts as it was being recorded. Like, he was like, what the hell? So it seemed like a very strange way of doing it, but they got some shows out of it anyway, and people seem to like it. They did American version, didn't they? Jim Caviezel or whatever it was a few years back.
It was horrible.
Person of interest. It had its moments.
No. Jim Caviezel did
The Prisoner.
redo The Prisoner.
Oh, The Prisoner. Okay.
Yeah, horrible.
But Caviezel went batshit crazy, so.
Hey, you went religious.
Did he really?
And went batshit crazy. That's two different things.
How so?
Yeah, Caviezel went batshit crazy.
Like how?
Like QAnon crazy.
Yeah.
Oh. I thought you meant he had a Jesus complex.
Well, that he kind of does, but he went QAnon. Too many people have gone QAnon crazy. There are people I call dear friends forever who I just don't have the heart to even talk to anymore.
I can't believe there's people who literally think that they've got like kids underneath the White House having their blood sucked for adrenochrome or whatever the bloody hell the rubbish they come out with. It's like unbelievable. People could actually say that.
Well, everybody's imaginations. It goes back to Lady Bathory and all that stuff.
Well, I've told
like,
you.
Well, they're rich. They do this, and it's like, well, there are sickos out there that do it, but they're all over the place. But who walks into a pizza joint and shoots it up because of what somebody said happened in a basement that doesn't exist?
I told you what happened to my handyman, right? He was convinced he was going to get chipped if he got a vaccination and died of COVID.
It's just crazy.
It was just ridiculous.
Yes.
And it's understandable. I mean, everybody should be skittish because, again, it's common knowledge. The shit they did to some of these people, the African American community has every right to be skittish.
Well, he was Hispanic. I mean, it wasn't really, he didn't have a dog in that fight. He was just a kind of Trump-loving, crazy QAnon guy who believed that there was an underground network underneath the Chinese pizza parlor and Hillary was running a pedophile ring.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
And they're out there, but you just never know where they are. They're psychos, and they come from everywhere and every walk of life. And,
that's right.
Some gullible, knuckle-dragging twats who believe anything.
The states are full of them. I think the states probably have more than you guys do.
Okay.
Well, you're looking at population numbers alone, but I mean, it'd be so easy to lead a cult. It'd be so easy to get rich here and lead a cult and drive people crazy if you're just a son of a bitch. People are desperate, and you can exploit that. And it's like, I will never, ever, and people hate me for that. I'll never exploit that, and people despise me for it.
What, for
they make up stories and come after me, and they're like, well, you're just awful. And I'm like, no, I'm not. You're just trying to make up an excuse for you're awful. Greed. So much of it comes down to fucking greed.
You're saying people are coming after you for not making a cult, did you just say?
Quite literally. Not joining a cult or not, I don't do stuff like that, and because I don't, it doesn't make any sense. Well, why would you sacrifice your time and effort for kids you don't know? Because it's the right thing to do. They don't understand that. They have no concept of that. What's that, Bill?
The rare Nancy variant of EC cover. I guess they got Fritzy Ritz first or last. Because that's not the body of Nancy laying down there. That's her aunt. But isn't that funny? I think that's hilarious. There's a great magazine now that just came out from what's John's last name? John. I'll tell you in 1 second.
But I ran troubled youth groups in big churches.
John Kelly.
Come after me.
John Kelly. What? John Kelly has a magazine out right now called Dummy, and it's fantastic. It's a lot like Blab, Raw used to be, and it's got a lot of the people like Jerry Beck is on the board. My friend Mark Newgarden is on the board, and the magazine just started coming out. And it's really great. I
have to ask with the name John Kelly, any relation to Selby or Walt?
No.
Okay.
No, but he's a great guy. He's a comic historian like myself, except he's probably way better than I am. He let me see if I can find a picture of the copy of the. So the first one, first issue. They had Gary Panter on, and they talked about Pee Wee's Playhouse, all the artwork that was needed for Pee Wee's Playhouse. and
Who was Cowboy Curtis in Pee Wee's Playhouse?
it was
Who
one of the
played
most
Cowboy
famous
Curtis?
black actors of our time.
Well, yeah,
And he starred in Apocalypse Now
as a teenager.
as
Yep.
a teenager. Yep. And he also was, of course, on Blackish, on CSI, and what character is he in the MCU? He's Bill Foster.
Bill
Giant
Foster.
fan.
And The Matrix, of course.
Of course. Mobius. He was great in that, actually.
What? Is it Lawrence Fishburne?
Yep. Lawrence Fishburne was Cowboy Curtis.
Okay, I don't know. I don't even know what that show's about. You're talking about? I don't think we ever got it over here.
You find out, like, a lot of people started on little kid shows on, like, PBS and stuff. Who started out as a comedic player in the background of Mr. Rogers?
Oh, well, no, he wasn't a comedic player. He was on the crew, and he never appeared on camera. It was Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you had Morgan Freeman first appeared on
Power Company.
Actually, on Electric Company. Yeah.
Oh, Electric Company, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
And I've heard of it. I just said Power Company.
What did you say? Power Company? Yeah.
Power Company, yeah.
There used to be a punk bar here when I was in my early 20s. It was called Raw Power and Light, and we'd go there every weekend. It's right up the street from this.
Power Company was a DC comic book, actually. There was a DC comic called Power Company for a while.
Oh, I didn't know that. I don't know why, but I'd be dying if I didn't have this fan here. We have. Can you see the fan? Here's the fan.
We've had a very mild. We've not had hardly any sun yet.
It just hit 131 degrees in Death Valley.
Thank God it's only going to be in the 60s or 70s in 2 weeks in San Diego. So can't wait for that shit. Pardon my French.
First place I lived outside of Indiana.
The San Diego.
Lucky there's no such thing as global warming, eh, guys?
How long were you there for basic?
2.5 months.
That's all? No, that's 10 weeks. Yeah. My dad.
Yeah, and they took us to a Padres game. Then they took the Navy squids, recruits, to a Padres game. They're like, be on your best behavior. Okay, so I became a Padres fan.
Fair enough. What's that? Is that baseball?
Yeah. And then one story I should never tell. A couple days before we graduated.
I like certain sports. I like some soccer. I like trying to think what else I like. I like baseball sometimes, but it's kind of a slow sport. I guess basketball is my favorite professional sport. I play disc golf. As a hobby sport, and I wouldn't watch it on TV because it bores me not to be able to play it myself. Golf bores me, but I don't play golf. I play, disc golf, which is considerably better and to me a lot more fun.
It's frisbee, isn't it? Is it not frisbee golf?
Yeah. We have 20 courses here in San Antonio.
Wow.
They're all free. Yeah. And there's a 21-hole course right by my house, and we go to it. We don't go to it very often during the summer, but when the fall hits, we'll be going like crazy. But it's a fun sport. My friend AJ got me into it, and Blanca enjoys it too. So we go and we have our bag of discs, and we just take it out when we go. I I have friends who pay big bucks for discs, like they're weighted a certain way and they're for certain kinds of performance. And
That's really serious.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not that serious. I just do it for fun. But no. Yeah, man, I'm getting a little scared. It's only 2 weeks away. I'm gonna have to leave in a few minutes just because I have to find some fonts. Are you having an earthquake over there?
No,
this was on the cabinet over by us. I had to go grab this.
Lisa just farted and just.
Oh, you can't escape and stay on
Hey,
camera.
Bill.
Thanks, Lisa. No, I did not say that. I'm sorry, Lisa. I was kidding you. Putter. Oh, you've played too. Oh, I did not know that.
Oh, right.
Oh, man, those are great. Those are early ones, dude. You even have a real frisbee in there. Magician fairway driver. Wow.
So you play disc golf as well, Kyle?
Tried
Yeah,
to get the grandkid into it.
Until right now, when he whipped out his discs.
Yeah.
Well, I found out where he's been hiding all his sneaky candy. And
That's
then he leaves it
hilarious.
in here and things get into it and tear it up. But yeah. Yep. Discmania. Yeah, I got him a set. He got interested. I got him because like I'd watch it all the time, and he got to watching it with me, and I told him I should, because we throw frisbee, just regular throw frisbee all the time. I grew up on frisbee.
Yeah.
And frisbee golf to me goes back to the days where we'd pick a tree out in the woods, and that's what you had to throw at.
Yeah. Target frisbee.
And that's what it became. It grew into an actual sport. Frost.
Well, what you do is you throw it into, I don't know if you've ever seen it, Gray, but you throw it into a basket.
Yeah, like a chain
basket. Yeah.
If I had the energy to go like 10 doors down, one of my neighbors has one in his backyard.
Oh.
A practice thing.
Yeah, the guy who got me into it, HA, he has one in his front yard. And
I take it each hole has a par, like in normal golf.
It's like golf. Yeah, in that sense, it's a par. And you keep score just like golf.
Yeah.
But I'm horrible.
Sucks with my busted neck. I can't throw distance anymore. I can throw. I just can't throw distance.
Yeah, I was thinking that when you were showing them, Carl, that I wasn't sure if your body was up for throwing.
I can't turn my head to sling any noticeable difference. I can stand still and throw it 50 feet and not even blink.
Do it with your wrist, right?
But yeah, I can't contort myself and twist with it. But I figured I could teach my grandson. But you know, like
we went to an open day at a garden place that Lisa used to help out at, and they was talking about there was like a bowling, the bowling green. They have that in America, the crown green bowling. We have a jack, like a little white ball, and you've got to throw the balls down along the grass towards it. And I was going along for a trial for a bit of fun. I forgot all about that. Just remembered it now. Something to do.
Yeah, this is his old school backpack.
Cool.
Avengers. We just put it to use when he outgrew it. We just put it to use and made it the bag. I figure if he wanted to go any further with it, I'd stock him up. If not, we'll just keep throwing frisbee out in the front yard. That's what we do.
That's the first issue of Dummy, the Pee Wee's Playhouse issue. So,
hey, Bill.
Yeah.
What is this?
A hole. I don't know.
It's Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Oh, I hate you. You're stupid.
Oh, dear me.
This is a picture of John Kelly, by the way, wearing a dunce cap.
Okay.
Except it comes out backwards on the phone and looks like a B instead of a D for dummy.
That looks like a D. No, that's like a D.
Oh, it does? Oh, it just looks like that on my. Oh, okay, good.
Maybe, yeah. Who's John Kelly?
He's the guy. He's this dude. He's think he also works at the Church of the Subgenius, but he's the publisher of Dummy, and he's a comic historian like myself.
Oh, right.
Except if I'm not mistaken, he's more about strips than comic books.
Okay.
And
I was watching a channel last night. I think it was Mike Barron.
Yeah, Mike Barron.
Yeah, he was like a guest on this show, on this comic channel. No, on a comic channel that I was watching last night.
Oh.
He's got his own YouTube now.
He's a close friend of mine. I've had dinner with him several times.
Does he work with Steve Rude? That we
they don't really work together now, but they did. They co-created Nexus now.
Yeah, we talking about Nexus.
They both do Nexus projects on their own. Well, they still talk once a month, once a week, or so, and they are still good friends, but they just kind of outgrew each other.
Right.
Well, and you couldn't be again more politically different. I just can't.
They're both politically identical. Sadly.
Are they? Is Rude?
Yes.
Rude really is.
Yes.
I didn't think Rude was.
No. He does. He won't talk about it. Mike will, but he constantly agrees with. And someone asked him. Q&A at the store, and they said, do you agree with Mike politically? And he goes 100%. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, you know what?
But he keeps it to himself and
it's
lets
the
it
States.
be.
Yeah, Mike advertises it.
Yeah. I just
and Mike got caught up in Comicsgate, and that didn't even really have much to do with politics. As
that's just comics. Hey,
what is that? Is that my tour on your shirt, Gray?
It's Grayskull.
Oh, that's so weird. Hey, Kyle. I just saw it from the head down.
That's what I thought it was till he moved his beard.
Yeah.
What do you think it was?
My tour.
My tour.
The Mighty My Tour
was a Hanna-Barbera cartoon in the '60s.
Okay.
And he was like the Stone Age Space Ghost. He wore this helmet kind of thing that had horns on it, mask.
Okay.
And he even appeared in a Space Ghost TV special with him, where Space Ghost gets hurled back in time.
We didn't get Space Ghost in the UK. I know he's very popular over there, but we never got him. I don't think we ever saw him over here.
Well,
there was a late night show.
Fantastic.
I think there was a late night show where they were taking the Mickey out of it.
Oh, no, that was a bastardization that they did years later to bring the character back, and they made him a talk show host.
Harvey Birdman.
But there was and Harvey Birdman, yeah.
Over it,
and they even had an Aquaman series that only ran on Cartoon Network Latin America, even though it was in English, which I thought was hilarious. And it was funny because Aquaman would have all these seahorses come out and parade on the screen, and it was just really ridiculously stupid.
Hey, Bill, you read my last poem. Was my Spanish okay in that one?
Yeah, I think it worked.
Okay.
I mean, un poquito here, but, I think it worked,
Yeah, those Silver Age Aquaman stories were ridiculous.
Oh,
some of the Silver Age Aquaman stuff, some of the daftest.
They grew up. Once Nick Cardy took over, they grew up quite a bit. But yeah.
Originally, it was like just complete nonsense. Fish, he managed to get fish to do everything for him, and it was so silly situations.
Didn't both Aquaman and Submariner, didn't they both end around the same time? The runs?
Well, yeah. I mean, you follow trends, and they just kind of.
And if I'm not mistaken, Steve Skeets wrote the last issue of both comics, which I find very interesting.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of them had a surrogate for the other one in the last issue. And I can't remember if Namor had an Aquaman or Aquaman had a Namor.
The hand panel.
They're pushing the button or something like that, is it?
Yeah.
pushes a button and something blows up in the other comic book or something weird like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you know the Bill Everett art that I've gotten in that recent collection. I think I showed it to you guys. But that Bill Everett art, I think, is from issue 650. And Bill Everett art is doing very well right now because his later work was very good. I mean, his early work was okay, but his later work had some of the best textures and inking that I think the world has ever seen. Wouldn't you agree, Kyle?
Pretty incredible.
And when Bill Everett did Doctor Strange for a while before he took over Submariner again. The Doctor Strange stuff was absolutely. He took over for Ditko when Ditko left the strip, and I thought he did a great job. Don't you?
I love watching those guys with a pencil. I love the old videos.
Yeah,
they create something out of nothing in a matter of minutes, and it's like that's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I agree 100%.
And then what they throw away, I mean, I'm sorry, but just I would have boxes full of things those guys threw away.
Yep. Like dumpster diving at Hanna-Barbera Studios.
Oh my God.
Which happened. I know quite a few people who used to do that. And including what's his name? It's not Dave Alvarez, it's the other Dan. Is it Dan Alvarez? He was in fact, I think he's retiring. One of the last things he did was Fiona and Cake, which was the gender switch of Adventure Time. And it was for basically an adult cartoon. It was on Max. Do you know what I'm talking about, Kyle?
Sounds familiar, but
Finn and what's the dog's name in that?
Phineas and Ferb.
No, Finn is the kid, and the dog is named not Pie, but what's the opposite of Cake? I don't know. He has some kind of cake, some kind of. I have to look it up now.
What's the opposite of cake?
I don't know, but that's what it is, kind of. I think pie. When you ask my dad what his favorite cake was, he'd always say pie. My dad was cut up. I wish you guys could have known him. He was a great guy. Okay.
My dad was a douche nozzle for the most part that I knew.
I'm sorry.
My dad's all right.
Oh, Jake is the cat's name. So Cake, Jake.
Okay. Rhymes with cake then. It's not the opposite of cake. Rhymes
and Fiona,
with cake.
Fiona instead of Finn. So, yeah.
So, hey, you want to hear a funny story about my dad, though? Kind of the first time we genuinely bonded.
What? Sure.
Right before the Gulf War kicked off. If my mom's still watching, she'll be tickled by this one. Because it made him nuts. Pre-cell phone days and stuff. Like, the commanding officer of the unit, the first person in touch would be his wife, so people back in the rear would contact his wife, and then she could call like headquarters or whatever and find things out. But you just didn't have a direct line home, and we were constantly on the move. And right as we were setting up for the Gulf War, my dad went critically ill. I think he died on the table, had some problems going on, had an aneurysm come up out of his leg, about popped his heart. He was in a bad way, and my Aunt Julie put a thing in with the Red Cross. Hey, he needs to get home to see his dad. Took him 5 days to find me.
Oh my God.
The stateside liaison, their information was 3 countries behind me because we were moving So they'd catch up with the information, and they're like, well, he's already moved on to here. Then they moved on to there. Then I was another country away. Then they moved on to there. And we actually stood still in that third country long enough for me to get the message. And it's like, all right, well, you need to come down to headquarters. And I walk in, and there's a battalion chaplain standing there and a Red Cross rep. And they're like, we've been looking for you for 5 days. Your dad went critical 5 days ago. Your emergency leave has already been approved. We've already processed it. You just got to sign this, this, and this. We're going to fly you back stateside. The reason the preacher's here is because it took so long to find you. And then you got a 22-hour flight going back to the States. You know, so we honestly figure you're just going to go home. And if you're lucky, you'll make it in time to be your dad's pallbearer. So they loaded me up. They shipped me back home, and I had to travel incognito. I was in the field and hadn't shaved, and they're like, do not shave. You know, trash out your clothes, ruin a pair of jeans, rip the knees out or whatever. We'll pay for a new pair. I put on a bandana, tried to look like a troublemaker. They flew me first class on Japan Airlines into San Francisco, which is funny because that's where I ran into Robin Williams. And I've told that story, right?
Yeah, I love that.
I didn't actually get to sit down with him, but I got a quick hi bye, and he knew I was in the military. I get to St. Louis. They put me on a MAX flight back to Indianapolis, and they're like, even at the airport, another clergyman met me, and they're like, we don't have a full status, but your dad does seem to be in this hospital. So I go into St. Francis Hospital, the hospital I was born in. I go downstairs, and they're like, go up to the ICU. Your dad was touch and go. He had a 5% chance of living. And I'm walking down the hallway, and I hear, God damn it. These motherfuckers, my son's over there, and this stupid shit, and this political bullshit, and fuck this, and fuck that. And I turn the corner, and my dad is standing up on his bed yelling at the CNN and going, fuck you, you're going to kill my kid with this stupid war. And I'm like, Dad, what the fuck are you yelling at?
And you were there.
And it looked like he saw a ghost. And he's like, you're over there. And they told me they couldn't find you. And I'm like, well, they found me. And it took me 6 days to get home. And I ended up getting to spend 18 days home. My brother tried to keep me home and everything. But when I got home, my dad had a 5% chance of living. And by the time I left, he was checking out of the hospital. So, but he was cussing the TV. We bonded over that and my grandma's hell. And he's like, well, you're all right. I'm proud of you. It took 22 years for him to tell me he was proud of me. 22.
That's hilarious.
But he's like, my fucking son's over there, you bastards. And he's just this pissed off old man. The nurses are worried about him. And I just walk in laughing. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, you're not over there? Well, no, I'm here. Then I got back on a plane and nobody heard from me again for 9 months.
Jesus. Did your dad die during that 9 months?
But no, he went ahead and lived till 2008. Stubborn old son of a bitch. Went through another aneurysm and all kind of stuff. But in that trip, I got on an airplane in North Carolina, flew over to the Orient, was all up and down the Orient, flew back to Indianapolis, flew back to the Orient, then flew back around the world the other way, stopping in the middle, then coming back. So I did a lap and a half around the world in like 9 months.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
But I circumnavigated the globe, but it took me a while to do it. It was like over a 14-month time span that I did the full circumnavigation. But I counted up all the air miles, and I did 7.5 trips around the world in the air in 3.5 years, and a half lap around the world on a ship.
Wow. Well, I'm going to have to go, guys. I've got a bunch of stuff I've got to try to take care of today. And
yeah,
It's been a great day. I'm glad we got together. Good to see you, Greg. Good to see you, Kyle.
We got JMD Mateus next week.
Awesome.
And I actually have questions for him. Questions I haven't.
Me too.
Before.
Yeah. If you could both bring questions instead of sucking up, that would be good. Well, mainly Kyle.
Yeah.
Mainly Kyle. Let's say the same thing you said every other time we've had him on, mate, because it's...
I got a couple different questions for him because they're answers I know and I've heard through time, but, I want to address them on here.
That's great. Well, guys, have a wonderful...
It's been 10 years. What the hell am I going to learn about somebody after 10 years?
A lot.
Yeah, guys.
Well, I love you guys. See y'all next week. Bye, Kyle.
Yeah, night.